Everybody 9420.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of the 9420 podcast, where we waste our time and yours.
When I don't feel it's right, I say I won't, but then I might. The smallest crack lets in the light. Tell me if it's real. Tell me if it's real. 'Cause if it isn't real, here and now is okay with me. I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Nowhere has ever felt so free. Tell me if it's real. Tell me if it's real. 'Cause if it isn't real, memories were never meant to be free. Remembering is only half of what makes a memory. When sometimes I think I know, afraid to let those feelings show. I keep holding on to letting go. Tell me if it's real. Tell me if it's real. 'Cause if it isn't real, tell me if it's real. Tell me if it's real. 'Cause if it isn't real,
All right. Hey everyone, and welcome back. That was Tell Me If It's Real by Carl Allocco. Hi, Carl and Greg. How are you both doing?
Hey, it's nice, really nice to hear you say that again. Hi, Carl and Greg. How you doing?
Hi, Nicole. Hi, Greg.
And Carl's supposed to say hi, Nicole. Hi, Greg, or
Yes.
hi, Carl, or whatever he used to do.
I know.
We give everybody background on what's been happening.
If you've been wondering where we disappeared to after 4 years of showing up every week, well, we didn't just take a long vacation. Life kind of stepped in. I went through a pretty major health situation that left me sounding, let's just say, not podcast ready. And since talking is sort of a key part of a podcast, we had to hit pause. Here's the good news. We're back. And thanks to some very cool and slightly weird technology, I'm now speaking to you using a version of my own voice that I type into. So if the timing feels a little too perfect or I sound suspiciously well behaved, that's why. Different setup, but it's still me. Same thoughts, same opinions, just delivered through a keyboard and a little bit of digital magic. We're going to ease back into this probably once a month and see where it goes. But honestly, it just feels good to be doing this again.
It does. It really does feel good to be doing this again. It's crazy, I think, over the last 2 years and what you've been through, Carl, to be able to be back doing this with how technology's been advancing and to actually like hear your voice again. It's great.
Are we gonna go Cole, I think in the preliminary when we were deciding what we might do, you said something about everybody give a few minutes of what they've been up to over the last year and a half. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean it's not year and a half. It's 2 years actually, almost to the day since we've not been doing this. So for me, I dove into homeschooling with my daughter, which has been going great. But I've also been expanding the marketing side of the business because with all of this AI technology, it's allowed me to test my skills and expand on some things that I didn't necessarily have the time to do before because it was very intuitive and time consuming and things like that. So that side's been exciting and been able to expand the music base that I listen to because I hadn't listened to you guys tell me about the Beatles every single week.
Yeah, the last couple of years I've been thinking about it since you suggested we backtrack and give everybody information about what's been going on. So I actually took a pretty heavyweight music industry consultancy a couple of years back after we stopped the podcast, and it was it was a good experience. But it ended up being for me, it ended up being kind of a reflection of everything that I'd been missing. But by the same token, it was also a bit of a challenge, and I think in part because the music industry has changed a lot, and prospective licensees, people I was working with, trying to get them on board with regard to licensing and with regard to being copyright compliant. Businesses are not reacting in the way they did 5 or 10 years ago. I think in part because I think people are tired of the litigious nature of the music industry.
I have a question to go off of that though. So, are you saying that these companies are getting more lenient because of how technology is advancing with like making sure the copyrights and licenses are in place, or are they getting more rigid?
I'll give you a classic example without going too deep into it because, of course, I work for a private organization, so I don't want to involve them in any way. But the consensus among people that I was talking with was, you know what, copyright is so messed up. Uh, their attorneys would essentially say to me, "You just call us when you're ready to sue us for using your material." And I thought that was a real sea change from, when I worked in the industry about 5 or 10 years ago. So.
Oh, so like the companies who want to use the music are just getting more and more like we don't want to deal with it. If you want to sue us, but we're going to do what we want to do type
Yeah,
thing.
the companies that I was dealing with were in essence saying, the copyright thing has gotten so crazy that y'all just do you, we'll do us, and we'll keep going. And it was not a pleasant experience, but Carl,
They will
yeah,
always
it
just
was not
go
that.
where the money is.
Yeah, well, that's true. Um, but as we discussed earlier before we started recording the podcast, I don't want to come across as being the guy that's going to rant about the good old days of the music industry and how everything's terrible now. I don't want to do that.
It's what
Uh,
we did before. What's different?
well, I know it's what I did, what I could be accused of doing at times, but I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be inspired again in my listening, inspired again in my discovery.
Okay.
So,
Baby Carla. We've
Carla
missed her.
reared her head.
That's not my son.
What?
That's not my son.
What about your song? That's right. Tell me
Well,
if it's real.
that is in keeping with my theme for this new version of the podcast.
That was
I'm
true.
completely inspired by your damn song. I've always been inspired by your music, and I'm not ashamed to say that I haven't been inspired by much the last couple years musically. So to hear that and to hear the stories of how you're rendering now, very inspiring to me.
I think for me, having listened to a lot of your music beforehand and to hear this, the fact that it sounds to the T like you is absolutely amazing with what you've gone through. And I'm so looking forward to like what else you create with it
And it's
because
getting better.
and it's getting better. Absolutely, it's getting better. Yeah. I mean, from my standpoint, I'm excited for what you're coming out with on top of what you've already put out over the last year, just because you're a fantastic songwriter. You always had a good sound. So this is just helping you make it better than what it was before.
Do you want to include anything on what's been going on with you for the last 2 years?
And what that's fun. Okay. I
I
took the rabbit
not much, you see, right?
I can't elaborate that much.
Yeah, yeah.
If you have said something,
Well, I mean, I think from what you've been through over the last 2 years, the fact that you even wanted to come back and do this is inspiring because I think we all were just patiently hoping that at some point you would say now is the time. And it,
I agree with that.
you can tell them I had my pen removed.
yeah.
So,
Greg, do you want to say it or do you want me to say it?
What?
Oh my gosh. All right.
I had plans
He-
for
Carl had his tongue removed 2 years ago due to a secondary type of cancer from something that he battled beforehand. And that really impacted him being able to talk and how his recovery went, which is why we went so long without recording.
Batman.
Yep.
And even though you don't want us to make it the focus of the podcast, I think it's super important to relay at this point in time that you actually have taken a considerable amount of time, not just a few minutes to think about where we've been the last 2 years, but you have written a book. And I think that it's super important that we talk about the importance of your writing, and I think the story is just extraordinary, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to do the podcast again is because I hope that more and more and more people will be able to read the story as as you perceived it to be, and it's just very inspiring to me. I mean, I didn't know whether or not this would work. We tried. The list, we still don't know.
No.
The listeners should know that we tried this once, and
And you messed it up.
I ended
Yeah,
up
Greg messed it up because
I
he
ended up
decided
messing
to
it
rant.
up. I was so nervous as to whether or not this would actually work, and so I ended up just like overthinking everything, and so I don't want to do that. But I do think it's important that people know the context, right, Carl? Yeah, right.
First person. This is my first pet peeve.
This is your pet peeve.
I don't get this Ella Langley hype. Choosing
Okay.
Texas? Come on. She won like 50 ACM awards the other night. They're acting like she's the next Dolly Parton or Shania Twain. I think her voice is tepid and the songs sound dated. It always baffles me when the powers that be collectively decide to manufacture the next big star. It's like the fountainhead. Mediocrity always rises to the top.
Okay, I'm going to argue with you on this. I enjoy her music. I can put it on in the car.
What are we talking about? I didn't get it at the first.
Ella Langley, she
Yeah.
was last year's Breakout Artist of the Year, I feel like, for the ACM Awards. I know the bangs don't necessarily work, but I like her music. I do. But she also, I think it was so she like swept at the ACMs last week. The AMAs were last night, I believe, and I think she won Best Female Country Artist and like Best Country Song or something like that. Which, having gone through the AMA awards list of winners, half of them I didn't know about, and Justin Bieber won.
Wow. You're talking about, your comments were about the ACMs, right?
Yeah, the ACMs, because I mean, Ella Langley kind of overtook the whole thing, and then I think Cody Johnson was the big winner of the night.
Yeah, I had said at the
How
beginning.
about the ASSs?
I didn't really prepare anything to talk about the ACMs, but I will tell you one, to me, was a really cool something that happened this morning. So I thought ACMs might come up. So I kind of got out onto the internet and did a little research. I didn't watch, and I don't know most of the people involved, but I saw on there that Chase McGill, who's a like fantastic songwriter in Nashville, I saw on there that he was nominated for Songwriter of the Year, and I thought to myself, wow, I think he's been nominated 3 times consecutively. That's like a record to be nominated three years in a row. So I kind of went down a rabbit hole on the internet about Chase McGill, and I saw a recent podcast that Chase did, and he's telling the story of how he came to Nashville. And he said, well, I was in this band, and we were playing in Venice Beach, California, and afterwards, after we played, this guy from Nashville came up and said, I don't know if your band's going to do anything, but whoever's doing the songwriting really needs to come to Nashville. And I just couldn't believe it when saw the podcast, because that guy was me. So I basically, gave Chase the advice to come to Nashville. And then now here, 15 years later, he's got 13 #1 songs. So
That's pretty cool.
it's amazing. And I shot him a text, and I didn't have any idea. I have been off the streets for so long. I had no idea that Chase had 13 #1 songs, right? So interestingly enough, Chase is such an authentic, smart, agreeable kind of guy that he, if you sat next to him on a bus, you would not know that he is an incredible, very successful Nashville songwriter. You just wouldn't know. I mean, he's so authentic and so unaffected by everything. So it was just a really interesting little point for me this morning, because here I am thinking I'm so out of touch, and I ended up, kind of being acquainted with and being having worked with some.
If it's country, it sucks.
I totally disagree, dude. But I can't really defend country like I should be able to, because I have been on the bench or out of town for the last 5 or 10 years. So I mean, it's like it's funny. They say the podcast that I saw Chase on, where he mentioned that night in Venice, it's called A 10-Year Town, and I don't know if y'all are familiar with the
Nashville,
The
yeah.
father-
It was 5 and now it's 10.
yeah, but now it's 10. So,
I feel like at some point it'll go to 15. So
yeah, right. Well, or sometimes it will not be a music. You will not be able to, quotes, make it in the music business.
Nashville is over.
When you were here, what year were you here?
Nashville is over.
It's over.
Oh,
I think
well,
Nashville is.
Music as a man is over.
There
Yeah.
was this article online about how Wichita Lineman was supposedly the greatest song ever written. I wrote back that it's okay, but I honestly don't get all the praise. Of course, I got all this backlash from people saying it's the quintessential country song, that the melody is perfect, etc. I'm sorry, but I can think of dozens of songs I personally think are better. Even within Glenn Campbell's own catalog, I think Rhinestone Cowboy is a better song. Plus, I played with Jimmy Webb at one of Camille's songwriter showcases, and honestly, he came across as kind of an arrogant ass.
I think he's always been kind of an odd individual. You know, he had a solo quote solo career. I think there's no question that he's written some amazing songs, pieces of music, uh, songs that I think are kind of outside the norm, which has made them even more interesting and greater for me as far as I'm concerned.
But is that the quintessential
I didn't
country
know. Of
song,
course
though?
not. Of course not. I mean, you would have to go back. I I don't like talking about it that much because, quite frankly, I mean, Nashville and country music have been 10 different things over the last 75 years. So, but I would assume the greatest country song of all time was likely written by Hank Williams. I don't know which one that would be, but Hank Williams probably wrote the best country song of all, you know? So, um,
I asked him what he meant by someone left the cake out in he rain and he told me to fuck off.
that's funny. Well, I would assume that he's caught hell for those stream of conscious lyrics for, decades. So, do y'all watch the Rick Beato stuff?
No.
Rick Beato has this extraordinary podcast. He's got it's not a podcast, it's actually, he has a YouTube channel. And he's talked and interviewed with almost everybody from the last 50 years of music. It's pretty incredible.
I
We
probably
had,
should watch it considering that's what we talk about. So,
right. Well, I mean, and he goes pretty deep with most people. He does 2 and 3 hour shows, interview shows. Um, he had
it's
a
kind of like the
really,
Joe Rogan of music industry.
yeah, yeah, you could say that. He had a really in-depth interview with Jimmy, and I thought it was really interesting and really good. And he didn't appear to be kind of an asshole, but he does seem rather eccentric. Let's put it that way.
This songs back in up to the who does this shit? I'm sorry.
Well, I think you could,
Apparently, a whole bunch of people disagree with you, though.
No, his successor, he's not the money, but
you know,
he's not a pun.
He's
this
not
is
the
the
yeah. He's not
this
the
is
end all
the
be all when it comes
this
to
is
that.
going to become the first episode back, and it's also going to become the name drop um, um, episode. But I was thinking the other day, it's like, who does really give a shit? Most of these people don't survive their own careers. I mean, um, I was thinking the other day, listeners will not know, but there has been an institution in Nashville for probably 40 years, 30 years at least, called the Country Radio Seminar, where country
Yeah.
radio people from,
CRS.
yeah, CRS, people come from all over the country, uh, typically radio people, and the Nashville labels make a big deal of it, and they put, the artists in connection with, or they put them in touch with all the radio people. It's good business. I had a friend that was in charge of the New Faces show, and one year he invited me to. I was just getting started in my career. One year he invited me to come work the show for him, and the New Faces show was basically how the labels introduced artists to the entire country radio community, and they each were allowed to do 3 songs. They did or 2 songs. They did their current single and their next single, and that's how they promoted themselves to radio. Would you like to? I was in charge of bringing people through the Opryland Hotel kitchen onto the stage, helping them get onto stage so that we could run the show in a timely manner. Would you like to know who I took through the kitchen at Opryland Hotel for the New Faces performance?
No, we don't.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll move on.
No. We're kidding.
George Strait.
Who? Really?
George Strait.
AI has
considered-
basically shown that what we spent our lives doing is not that hard.
It's not.
It's not. But walking George Strait through a kitchen, AI can't do that.
Right. Does it help?
I like that. I like that, Nicole.
Does it too early? Does
But
it help to rap?
My point being that George Strait, who is considered to be the most legendary, country music artist since
And then,
Hank Williams.
That's proof what I said.
In 10 years,
Proof of
nobody's
what you
going to
said,
know
yeah.
who, or in 20 years, nobody's going to know or care who George Strait is.
I don't tell him out.
Yeah. I don't think you cared then, Carl.
Exactly.
Wait, I heard this. Didn't Paul McCartney come out with some new music lately? Or no? Was it good or no?
Panda, yes.
It-
Absolutely.
Okay. Because I
I,
feel like the last one that he came out with, it wasn't that great.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
This one was somehow permanent.
he said, I saw him recently talking about it, and he said it was very nostalgic for him, which, if you're going to be nostalgic and you're going to write Beatles songs and you're a Beatle, how can that not be good?
It wasn't Beatles songs.
It wasn't new songs. Like,
It wasn't Beatles songs, but it was permanent. It was,
Right.
his voice was looped.
mm-hmm.
His voice was looped.
His voice was looped.
Looped.
You didn't, by the way, you didn't respond to my text about how is Band on the Run compared to, did you respond to that?
Band on the Run's okay, Jet 1984 and the title track, but it's definitely of its time, a bit dated, unlike some of the Beatles stuff like Revolver, which still sounds current today.
See,
Nice.
he responded. There.
You did respond. Thanks for doing that. Nicole, I sent him a text and I said, "Hey,
No, it was
please
an email.
respond
I
to
saw
the
that.
idea: is Band on the Run, is he even on par with great Beatles records? Because I was listening to Band on the Run and I was just like track after track after track. I'm thinking, this is a great album. This is an unbelievable album. You didn't think so?
No.
What's your favorite solo work from him? Ram?
Not part of the first one.
Yeah,
The puppet.
yeah.
The only real solo blue album was Plastic Underground.
Yeah.
The first one Lennon put out.
Is that the one he did on the farm in Scotland or wherever?
Then,
Yeah. So that's not even technically a Wings record.
no.
Yeah. I don't know. McCartney's fascinating because I saw him the other night on Saturday Night Live, and he can do whatever he wants media-wise at will, right? So if he wants to sing on Saturday Night Live, he gets to sing on Saturday Night Live. I thought it was really not good.
And the put back song. That didn't put back.
Stephen, he
Yeah.
was the last guest on Stephen Colbert. That's kind of where I heard
Yeah.
that the music was
Yeah,
coming out.
he can do whatever he wants. He can walk on anywhere and do anything. But and he seems to be a really incredibly down to earth guy. I Googled it last night because I saw him on something just in channel checking, and his net worth is supposedly $1.3 billion. If you have $1 billion, why the hell are you interested?
Who has an Uber? An
Well,
Uber.
Yeah, why are you interested in being on Stephen Colbert?
Because he wants to be Paul McCartney.
Yeah, he
Okay?
wants to be the
Yeah.
superstar that he is, no matter how old he gets.
Yeah. Well, what he's seen, what he's done, who he's been, all of those things, I think it fascinates me and it's interesting, but maybe not do, old Beatles songs on television, using RE15 mics, I mean, don't do it. It's it's ill-advised.
Why doesn't he lip sync?
What? He could get away with it. No one would say anything. Probably one of the only ones.
That guy from the Chili Peppers was playing drums on those tracks. It's so funny.
Want to play another song?
Let's play another song, and then I have to go. All right, everyone. It's about on time to end this episode. But before we finish, make sure that you listen all the way through. What?
9420.
All right, everyone. It is time for us to get on out of this episode. Make sure that you listen all the way through for one more song from Carl called She. And with that, we'll talk to you guys next time.
Bye, everybody.
9420. She believes me. She says she does. And she needs me, 'cause I'm the one she loves. Baby, you're who I see, standing right next to me. It's true. She forgives me. She's always there, and she sees me even when I disappear. Baby, I look at you, all that we've both been through, I know. She reminds me when I forget. She's beside me, even though we're not there yet.